Hello everybody, and today I'll be showing you how to make the cutter cube, or as it's better known, the mod that me, myself, and Pi solved. This is just a 3x3 modification, and it's one of the simplest shape modifications that you can do. It's simply a 3x3 with the middle layer always turned 45 degrees when it's solved. So to turn it, you have to turn this middle layer, and then you can turn these other sides. And it's not too hard to solve, it's just a little bit harder than a regular Rubik's Cube. So this mini one is the only one I have assembled and stickered, so I just decided I'd show that in the video. But yes, now we're going to go over what you need to do this mod. First, you're going to need a Rubik's Cube. I'm using a Rubik's brand because of the mechanism in it. If you try and use the Speed Cube, making the cuts and gluing the pieces will be much harder, especially because these have two halves to the piece. And you're also going to need some super glue to glue pieces together. Yeah, so super glue. You can get a 4-pack, or this is a 3-pack I get at the dollar store, but you can get glue cheap everywhere. Gonna want to have some paint. Any kind of paint will do, as long as it's black. Some paints will be better, obviously, than others. We're going to need some sort of epoxy putty. I'm using Millput. I'll leave a link in the description to their website. I get this at my local craft store, but I would just check around if I was you and see where I can find it. Maybe look it up on eBay or somewhere online. I'm not sure where to get it if you can't find it at a local craft store. And also, you're gonna want to buy some stickers. These are Cubesmith stickers. I bought a regular 3x3 set, so these ones up here, and then I also bought a Fisher Cube set. You're not gonna need the white or yellow sides from the Fisher Cube. You're just going to need these three sides: the green, red, blue, and orange. And we're just going to be using these for this middle layer here, and then we're going to be using these stickers for all the rest of the cube. So this is just going to make it look better, since it's just the middle layer of a Fisher Cube. So I'll leave a link in the description to these sets on Cubesmith.com. And you're also going to need something like a Dremel to make your cuts with a blade, kind of like this. This is just going to make the cuts easier, making them easier. So yeah, the Dremel is not necessary, but it's going to make it a lot easier. You could also use a saw. You could take the pieces and saw them, like a saw with very tiny, I don't know what you call them, like teeth or not tongs, pokey things, I don't know. And as always, get a parent's permission before you do any type of modding. So once you have your cube, I'm going to recommend that you just take off all of the orange, the green, the red, and the blue stickers. So once you have that done, this is where the modding gets started. I have here a little knife thingy. I picked this up at Menards, and all this mod entails is turning this middle layer 45 degrees like this, cutting this bit off, and gluing it to the center. It's really easy. And then you have to fill this and paint it and then sticker it, and then you're done. So yeah, you have to like quintuple check that your layer is 45 degrees and try and make it as exact as possible, because if it is not, your pieces won't sit flat on your center and then it won't look as nice. So okay, so I think I got this middle layer exact. I'm going to take my knife and just make a line at the very base of the edge here. Make a cut, and then I'm going to do that on this side. So then I'll know where to cut it. And then over here, oops, I wouldn't be doing that. And make a line. You should hold your cube firmly so it doesn't turn. There we go. So now I can take these pieces out and I'll zoom it in so you can see. We have a line where we're going to cut there. So we're just going to cut that piece off, and then this will be all that's left. And you have to make sure your cuts are precise and clean. So I did go ahead and make one of the cuts here with my blade. It wasn't that easy, but it only took me a few minutes. The piece didn't come out totally perfect there. So when you turn this middle layer, this sits flat here. I'm going to have to sand that down as well as this. This will go onto the center. You can just see how the pieces will match up. And now we're going to get to when you Dremel the pieces. So basically, I'm going to show you, but I want to talk when it's quiet and I'm not in my garage. So basically, you're going to take the Dremel and you're going to cut along the line, and then after you're through the plastic on this line, you're going to flip it over and go through this line. I would recommend either clamping the piece down with something or holding it with a pair of pliers, so you are not holding your fingers this close to the Dremel, and hold your Dremel securely on the back so you don't get hurt. And then once that is done, you can make a very straight cut in between the two lines there and on this side, and you'll be able to just take your piece off. Okay, so now I have all of my cut edge pieces back here, and I'm just gonna take my fingers, you could use a blade, and take all this molded plastic off. You can see, I'll try and focus this. There's a bunch of plastic on it, and you can just, it's pretty easy just to get off. But there's still some. I'll take a blade and get into those hard to reach areas. So at this point you want to just assemble your cube, and it should look something like this. And you can turn it halfway. Should be a bit easier this time. You can just look and see what needs to be sanded down and what doesn't. This piece I'm going to sand down just these rough edges, but I don't need to take it down anymore. I'm actually maybe gonna need to raise it up. This one needs to be sanded down. This one does not need to be sanded down, just smoothed off. And then this one needs to be sanded down. So these two need to be sanded down, and then these two just need to be smoothed off. So you can take it and put it face down. Try and apply even pressure to the whole piece. And just kind of do things like this. This is a lower grid sandpaper because I don't want to go over. You really don't want to overmount it. So check it frequently. You put it back into the cube, and then just turn it like that, and I'm going to say it needs a little bit more right there. You don't have to be exactly precise here because this is all stuff we're going to fix after we fill it. And now for these cut off bits, you can get all of them over here. You can see some of them are crooked like this, so this is going to be much harder. This one looks the straightest, so I'm going to start off with this. You just simply place it over the edge and see how much it sticks up over those. I can see this one needs to be sanded down, so I'm just going to do that. And then I'm going to check again, and that looks almost perfect. Just needs a bit more taken off on this next one. You know, actually, just this side needs to be taken down because this piece is crooked. That's good. Yeah. So now I'll take you back inside and we will start filling and gluing. Okay, so now we're going to start filling the cube. I have my 2 things of milk right here. How this works is you mix the 2 together so that they're all mixed up and whatnot, and then you can fill it, and it'll take a few hours and it'll dry. So until I have more of this, don't know why that is. So I'll take some of this. You want even amounts. And when you're done, be sure to wash your fingers. You don't want this stuff drying on your fingers. It's just like Play-Doh. I'm sure you all played with Play-Doh. You could make animals. You could make a dinosaur. You want to make sure you don't have too much of one color or the other, or else it won't dry. So now what we're going to do is take our piece, take a good amount of this, and you're going to push it in from the top. And you're going to be careful not to go over or too much under. Filling, and do that, and then just kind of press it in. And yeah, this is almost good. It's okay if you go over. We're going to sand it down anyway. Don't be too cautious with this. I watch too much Ant Venom. So I'm going to say that's good for this piece. When it's done, it'll be really heavy. And then the next piece, this is one where I lost that, so it's not going to be quite as easy. And you're going to have to make an edge for that side, kind of a thing. Just be filled. So once the piece is set, you can just let them dry. It'll take a good 3 to 4 hours, but that is okay. And then yeah, so check them back in like an hour or so, and just make sure you didn't like do something wrong, because then if it dries, it'll be harder to fix. So come back and recheck your work after you've taken a break. Okay, so now we're going to be gluing these edge caps onto the centers. So where'd it go? Over here. I did cut these down a bit more so they can fit completely on top of the center. Some glue here. And yeah, so you want them how I did a bit more cutting down. I was going like this. So this is the centerpiece that one's going to be glued to. And put it in there, and if it can fit in between there easily and the edges can still rotate, it's good. And if it can't, yeah, you're going to need to cut it down a bit more. But again, don't cut too much off. So I'm just going to put it on this razor blade so I can apply it where I want it. Just on these edges mostly is where I want the glue. And in here. Just going to set that right in there. And then just let it set for a bit. So you can see the cube is starting to come together. That's on these top and bottom edges. And on this thingy. So, okay, that's good. Just put that right in there. And after it's sat for a little bit, you can turn these layers so it, obviously that one didn't sit long enough, so you don't have pieces get glued together. After they've all sat for just a couple minutes, oh, gotta glue the layers. Yep, that'll happen. Hopefully your mod will turn out better than mine. I'm not very good at modding. Okay, so now we're going to be smoothing the pieces out like this one is here, so it'll sit nice and flush with this thing. So yeah, and then we're also you'll have to excuse the extra mess. I'm modding a ShengShou 6x6 for someone. This can come off right now because it is extra, but you don't want to take that off because it's keeping that there. You could use sandpaper. I'm just going to use my knife. Just going to take the top bit off. That's obviously too high. Just kind of be very, very careful not to take too much. Once you've done that a few times and you think you're getting close, you can put it in there. And yeah, that one looks not too bad. I just have this last one and take the big bumps out of. Put it in, just any random one. This side needs to come down a bit over here. Okay, so now we're going to be painting the pieces. I have one that has its first coat on it here. I don't know how well you can see this, but I'll try and get it so you can see it now. Yeah, so basically all I have here is some black acrylic paint. Get it from anywhere really, probably the same craft store you got your Millput from, or whatever kind of epoxy you got. I'm going to shake it up, and then this is the time when you want to double and triple check that your pieces are as smooth or as whatever as you want them, because if they aren't as smooth or whatever as you want them right now, you're going to have to repaint it. And as you can see, I got a load of paint on my brush here, so this will be covering up a few pieces. Wow, or all of them, the rest of them. So yep, just trying to want to get it even, and yeah, we got that. Paint along this edge. Yeah, so now I just let these sit for a bit, and yeah, this paint is kind of runny, so now we're gonna let these dry, and we will come back and see if we need to put any more coats on before we sticker them. Because honestly, it's been a long time since I painted a cube, and I don't think I'm gonna need to put any more coats on since I have pre-cut stickers. So, yep, we're almost done. While your paint is drying, that would be a good time to clean up all of your mess and just get your stuff organized, like your stickers and whatnot. And as always, be sure to paint in a room where you're not going to bother any other people with the smell of your paint. This doesn't really have any smell to it, so I'm okay here, but yeah, just be sure you're not going to bother anybody. Okay guys, so my pieces are dry. I got my desk for the most part cleaned up, and now I'm going to be assembling it. I already got one layer done, so I'm just going to be leaving the white and yellow stickers on there for right now, just because they don't need to be changed. But I'd like to put a little bit of a disclaimer and say I'm not very good at modding, and these pieces are pretty bumpy, so the cube isn't going to look that great, but yeah, I'm just going to be putting the pieces in. Last sticker. Okay, so here's the finished product. I'm not going to bring it up too close because I don't want you to see how bad these edges are. Like I said, I'm not very good at modding, so if somebody else had a tutorial out there, I never would have made this, but I've gotten so many requests to do it, I kind of had to. I will go through and fix all of these centers, because this one, I don't know if you can tell, it's low on one side and high on the other. So that's not very good, but yeah, it turns okay. That's due to the quality of the puzzle, not my modding. So, yep, if you made a cutter cube using this tutorial, please make a video response and leave it below, and I'll definitely check out your video. But yeah, if you have any questions about the mod, leave it as a video response. I don't know how helpful I can be since I'm awful at modding, but Yeah, I can try. So, I guess I'll give it a quick scramble and solve here. It's not any more difficult than a regular 3x3 very much. It's just these centers have to be orientated correctly, but these two don't. So, the main reason I wanted to get this tutorial done is so people could play with this cube at the World Championships this year. And it didn't turn out very well, and I'm not all that happy with it. But I guess we'll just scramble it up. So, it is a shapeshifter. It's one of the easiest 3x3 mods to make. It's just simply making the center layer of a Fisher cube. Okay, I'm not sure if I got the last of that solved there. My camera stopped recording. So all in all, I'm not too happy with how this turned out, mainly because of these edges. Hopefully yours will turn out better, like I said, and that is it. I hope you enjoyed. I know it took me all day to make this, so yeah, and then it's going to take me all day tomorrow to edit it. So I probably won't get it out tomorrow, which is Wednesday, so it'll be out on Saturday, hopefully. We've now reached that part of the video where I tell everybody that I'm glad they watched, and I thank them for watching, and then I tell them all goodbye.